Well, folks, good day to you one and all. And it is touring cars. It's the Second Gear Studio. It's the voice of Jo Stasi, the voice of West Bromwich Motorsport, and the voice of Killarney International Raceway. Good evening to you one and all, and good evening to you, Frankie Hinnis.
Hello, everybody. Yo, what a event we're going to have. Touring car racing season 2, round number 1, and we come to you from Brands Hatch International Circuit, the old home of the Formula 1 in the UK, and it's in the city of Kent. And joining me Mike's side is Mr. FC Nivo. FC, good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this production.
Good evening, Frankie. Good evening, Gary. Lovely to be in the Second Gear Studio, and what a race this is going to be.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. This is going to be something else. The name list that you're going to see coming up on that qualifying board, unbelievable. Around about 27 entries that we had in the pre-practice session. Not going to give anything away at this stage of the fight as to who is up top. Let it suffice to say, Frankie, Audi's predominant, and a strong hint of a specific racing team that have come in numbers.
Yeah, well, first of all, Audis, Hondas, and Hyundais. That's what the drivers are racing. And then get back to the statement that you made. Yes, Druids Motorsport is there in their drones. Julian Familiaris, Yuri Swart, Byron Mitchell, and Jason Kutsia. They are all in the house, and they're going to take on the might of Johan Fourie. They're going to take on the might of Luc Lucchesi, of Willem Botha, of Francois Hubert, Peter Hubert, Clinton Besaidenout, and those are just a few names. There are, as Gary said, nothing short of 27 entries for this one at Brands Hatch.
Well, there you can see we're on board with Jason Kutsia. That's going through Paddock Hill Bend. He's just come down the Brabham Straight. That's Pilgrim's Rise. Just listen to the names of these corners. Through Druids he goes, and going up towards the Graham Hill Bend. That's the father of Damon Hill. We'll go through that Graham Hill Bend. That's a long left-hand climber. Very difficult to see the apex on the outside of that corner. Down the Cooper Straight and Cooper Minis. There's definitely a connection there, no doubt about it, from back in the day. Down towards the very well-known Sir T's. From 6th down to 5th, just touch on that curbstone, drifted towards the outside, keep the hammer down through Sir T's and into Hawthorne Bend. Hawthorne Bend, you drop down on that Portobello Straight into the Westfield Bend. Oh, it's so tight. Then you get the cutback, that's Sterling, using a lot of curbstone there on the inside of a Sterling Bend, going down through Clearways, underneath the Advan Bridge, and that'll take you through the Clark Curve and back out in towards the front main. So everybody gets one warm-up lap and then into their flying laps, and around about now you're going to see the numbers starting to come up on the left-hand side of your screen. And Julian Familiaris is the man that gets himself up into pole and immediately gets knocked down by Luc Lucchesi.
Yeah, Johan Fourie was the first man to put a time up faster than Familiaris, and then Lucchesi comes and says, hang on boys, I've got a different viewpoint of this, takes that provisional pole position ahead of Johan Fourie. He currently sits there in that 132.322 is Julian Familiaris, with Jaco Steyn in a formidable 4th position on a 132.6.
Well, Jaco Steyn up there, 132.602 for Jaco. Dolanchek is the next one out there. He'll be in the BWT Audi with the time of 132.762. Then it's Druids Motorsport in P6 and 7 in Byron Mitchell. And then Jason Kutsia, 132.77 and a 132.79. That's for Byron and for Jason. Then Francois Hubert sits there in that 8th position on a 133 dead. And then in that 9th place so far, FC, is Captain Peter van der Spey on a 133.3.
Yeah, Captain Pete out there in that 9th position. Then Werner Swart, a new name to iRacing amongst us, is out there on a 133.4, currently in that 10th position with Stephen McCarthy in 11th on a 133.593. Carl McCarthy currently holding on to that 12th position, and he gets dropped down to 13th as Willem Pienaar posts the 11th fastest time. And Familiaris goes fastest as he breaks the 132 barrier into 131.72, and Johan Fourie also breaking that barrier, going in second fastest with a 131.7.
Yeah, Francois Hubert moved up ahead there of Jaco Steyn. He moved up then to P7. Jaco dropped down into P8, but everything ahead of the two of them was chopping and changing as well. So, man, oh man, where are the Durant boys? They're sitting in second, and they're sitting in, they're sitting in third and fourth at this point in time. And then down in that 9th position is Jason Coetzee, who finds himself currently in pit lane.
Yeah, the guys are jostling out there. This is an 8-minute qualifying session that'll give you 3 laps, 1 out lap and 2 timed laps. And let's see if anybody can beat Julian Familiaris out in that position. Andre Steenkamp, the man currently on your screen, finds himself in 11th position on a 133.234. Francois Hubert, one of the fastest South African iRacers in the Master Series, only finds himself in 7th.
Yeah, I said they're sitting 3rd, 4th, and 9th, which they are. But let's not forget about the man that's sitting up in P1. He's also part of Durand Motorsport, Junior Familiaris. Yes, Francois Hubert did a stunning job a couple of Sundays ago with Luke Lucchesi to take on the might of the Durand Motorsport team at Mount Panorama in Bathurst in Australia. But today, FC, it is everybody for themselves.
It is everybody for themselves as Luke Lucchesi proves that he is going to take the fight to the Durand boys. He puts that car of his into that second position on a 131.7. Look at that, Frankie. 5 thousandths of a second between Lucchesi and Fourie for that second and third position, as track has gone very, very quiet, eerily quiet, I would say. This is the proverbial calm before the storm, as the guys, the last couple of guys try to put up times, as Andre Steenkamp and Christopher Radloff also just put up a time there for that 24th position of a 134.3.
So with 7 minutes 25 gone, there's a half a minute still to go, and once you've done your warm-up lap and your 2 flyers, the computer kicks you off, and that's where it ends. So virtually nobody out there on the track anymore, as they've done their completed number of laps that they can do, and you'll see most of the guys are already off into the pits as such. Just 10 seconds to go. Wow, I tell you what, it's going to be awesome stuff. Wait until we can see what this grid looks like. And it's probably going to be Julian Familiaris and Luke Lucchesi on the front row of the grid. And Frankie, such a small gap between them.
Well, there you see the checkered flag comes out. So that means we are done. Here we go. Row 1, Durand Motorsports, Julian Familiaris, and on his outside, Pantera Racing's Luke Lucchesi.
Yeah, Johan Fourie sits in that inside line of the second row in third position. On his outside, Durand Motorsports' Byron Mitchell with Umpi Swart on the fifth position, that third row, with Troy Dollenschenk sitting on his outside.
Then it's Francois Hubert and Jaco Steyn. Row 5, Tristan de Nobrega and Willem Botha. Row 6, Durand Motorsports, Jason Coetzee and iRSA Racing's Atti Nagel.
Row number 7, Kyle McCarthy and Andre Steenkamp lining up alongside each other. Behind them, Peter van der Spey, Clinton Besaidenote sitting in that 16th position, with Werner Swart, Andrew Thomas rounding off your 9th row, and Willem Pienaar and Stephen McCarthy filling up row number 10.
Row number 11 is Robbie Teings and Stephen Duplessis. Row 12, Sandro Bakari and Christopher Radloff, the young man there from East London. Then Mike Verrier, Peter Hubert, and Rainier Hubert round off the top 27, and that is all there is. Hondas, Hyundais, and Audis.
That is a star-studded field for the Touring Car Challenge, round 1 of Season 2. Standing start. This is going to be all-out war heading into turn number 1 of the Paddock Hill Bend, and you're going to have to be a very, very brave man to take any kind of bet in who's going to make it into turn number 1 in first position.
Yeah, brought to you by Malembe Lodge. Big thanks to everybody at Malembe Lodge for the sponsorship of this one. Right, here we go. Wait for the light sequence. 3, 4, 5, Pause, and away they go. This is 20 minutes of absolute pandemonium for Miliaris. He's the man that sits out there in P1. In that second place, it's Luke Lucchesi. Fourie is there in that third position, but he has got Byron Mitchell up there on his inside. Mitchell moves back, and look at Fourie gets his nose ahead there of Luke Lucchesi. Johan moving up into second, but Familiaris is pulling the pin early on. That's a hell of a fight there. The Durant Motorsport boys are in there. Troy Dolacek is right in there, just behind him. We've got Umpi Swart, followed there by Jakustein. On the top left-hand side of your screen, there is chaos out there already. Is that Lucchesi?
That is Lucchesi. Lucchesi got shunted off
Lucchesi.
there into a sideways spin into that corner, and he's dropping down the field like mad as well. That's not what Lucchesi needed in this race, but your race leader, Julian Familiaris, is telling the guys, I'm not waiting for you. I'm dashing off into the sunset, as he's already got a major gap between himself and Fourie. Fourie's got Mitchell and Troy Dollensching right there behind him, followed by Umpi Swart, Tristan de Nobrega, and Jakustein.
Well, drama out there on lap number 1 already, but Familiaris, he's pulling the pin there. Fourie is defending that second position. He's got them racked and stacked in there behind him. He has got the Durant boys right in there with him. That is Mitchell and Swart, and between the two of them is the BWT Audi of Troy Dolacek. Then Tristan de Nobrega is in there. Oh, there's chaos into the Omco barrier goes on. Another. That is Francois Hubert in the Alpha Tauri car that just hammered the wall very, very hard there.
While all of that pandemonium is going on, Julian Familiaris in a race of his own at the front of this race. He is blasting away from the pack. Johan Fourie holding on to that second position, but he's got Byron Mitchell from Durant Motorsport creeping ever and ever so closer, keeping him on his toes with Umpi Swart and Troy Dollensching right there behind him. Then we've got Tristan de Nobrega, Jason Kutsia, Willem Botha, Clinton Besaidnot in the 9th place, and Ati Nachel rounding off your top 10.
But have a look at that fight all the way from P2 right down to P23. There is fights going on all over the place. Familiaris has got a 2.5 second there on Johan Fourie, but Johan has got them racked and stacked in there behind them. He's got Byron Mitchell, Dolacek, Swart, de Nobrega, and he has got Jason Kutsia, Willem Botha, you name them, Clinton Besaidnot, Ati Nachel, the whole lot of them. It is a heck of a fight there for Fourie's second position.
Yeah, well, somebody ran very, very wide there, as Andre Steenkamp is currently sitting there in that 12th position. He's got the likes there of Peter van der Spey right behind him. But your race leader, Julian Familiaris, taking them underneath the Advan bridge. That'll leave them up to Clark Curve to start the next lap in this race here at Brands Hatch, as a star-studded field is already creating a ton of action.
Look at that whole crocodile making its way there out of Jim Clark Curve, working their way down the home straight into Paddock Hill Bend. Through Paddock Hill Bend they go, and then drop down into Pilgrim's Rise, which will take them into Druids. Then from Druids they make their way into Graham Hill Corner. They're all in there. Then into Jim Cooper Straight, and then into Surtees Corner, named after the only man that became a world champion on 2 wheels and 4 wheels, namely John Surtees.
Yeah, John Surtees. Oh, a big pile up there. That was that massive crash we saw. That was a turn, I think turn 3, as there was contact there. Willem Pinaar and all of them being involved in that one, as a lot of the guys got shunted down into the grass runoff area and trying to find their way back onto the circuit.
Yeah, that was the issue that we saw earlier on, and that is Pantera Racing's Luke Lucchesi that just got spat out there to the right-hand side. There must have been contact there somewhere.
Yeah, there was contact.
There was.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think that was Byron Mitchell that might have been involved with that one.
Well, it's quite possible. We'll try and pick that up, exactly who was the man that made contact with him, but it is chaos and drama out there. Replay at Renier Hubert, just running very, very wide, coming out that right-hander, sliding it on the grass, and lucky to rejoin and not make contact there with anybody else.
Jägermeister helped calming the nerves there of Renier Hubert. But let's have a look here. What happened to Andrew Thomas? Just got a nick there, and that took out a couple of cars there, as there was massive contact between that whole group. But riding back on board with your race leader, fastest lap of the race so far, 131.8 and he's being chased down by Johan Free, who's almost 3 seconds down the road from your race leader. Byron Mitchell right on his case, keeping that car Free very, very humble. Troy Dollenschink in that 4th position. He's 6/10 of a second down the road, with Umpi Swart half a second down the road.
Then in there behind Swart, 9/10 of a second behind him is Tristan de Nobrega. De Nobrega going through that left-hander. He's got a second between himself and Run Racing's Jason Kutsia. 5/10 of a second between Kutsia and the man behind him, Willem Botha. And then we get a bit of a gap, nearly 2.5 seconds between Botha and Clinton Besaidnout. And he has got the Attinagel, Werner Swart and Andre Steenkamp in there for company. It's a heck of a fight out there. And Nagel's got his nose ahead there of Clinton Besaidnout.
Yeah, Nagel managed to get past the Besaidnout, but Werner Swart also trying to make headway to get past Clinton Besaidnout. Behind Swart, Andre Steenkamp just 4/10 of a second down. Lucchesi already worked his way back up to 13th after dropping down to about 22nd in the race. But here's a big fight. Byron Mitchell getting closer and closer to the back end of that monster Honda of Johan Fourie. Can he make a move coming down at the main straight now? That is the Brabham straight as they head up towards the Paddock Hill Bend. Is Byron Mitchell trying to catch up there to Johan Fourie.
Coming out of Paddock Hill now, they'll drop down Pilgrim's Rise using the track and more. Under the Carlu Bridge into the hairpin. Right-hander, that is Druids Corner. Working the way out of Druids now. Through Graham Hill they go. Into Cooper, and then from there directly into Surtees Corner. They use the entire circuit and more. There's Dolacek going through. Dolacek sits right on the case there, Byron Mitchell. Yuri Umpi Swart is right on the case there of Troy Dolacek, and they're now getting slightly away from De Nobrega. There's a second between Swart and De Nobrega, and 1.1 between De Nobrega and the man in P7, Jason Kutsia.
Yeah, that sudden drop that you see there, that's Pilgrim's drop. That's going to take them up into the Hawthorne Bend, that right-hander. Then they'll get to another bend just before they get to Westfield Bend. They go down the Portobello Straight. Now it's going to take them into Dingledale, and then into Dingledale Corner, that right-hander that'll be waiting there for them. A massive dice there between your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th place man. All of them racked, stacked, and packed in right there behind one another.
Johan Fourie is leading this. If this was a Formula 1 race, you'd call this a DRS train. That he's leading under that Advin Yokohama tyre bridge there. As Clinton Besaidnout, he's right in there. He's going to have a go with Attinagel. He wants up on the inside. Attinagel. Nagel gets forced wide. Clint comes through, and does he bring Werner with him as well? Yes, he does. He brings Werner Swart with him as well. And Attinagel has lost 2 places, but Atti going into paddock fights right back there at the Werner Swart.
Yeah, Werner Swart just getting a bit of a taste of what racing and right next to an elbow stretched out Attinagel can be like, and that got him knocked down towards the inside of the circuit. But that brings Andre Steenkamp and Luke Lucchesi into play as well. And Luke Lucchesi is one of the last guys that you want in there, as he makes a pass there on Andre Steenkamp and now sets his sight on Werner Swart.
Well, I can tell you that Luke has got the red mist down right now. He's dropping the hammer big time. He has got blinkers on as Luke goes after Werner Swart. He is 0.6 of a second behind Werner Swart. He's got missile lock on all 3 of them. Ahead of him as they go into turn number 1. That will be Werner, Atti and Clint. That he's got missile lock on as they race in between these trees. This famous Branzac circuit with the world's most famous names for the corners. And here comes Luke Lucchesi. Only 0.3 of a second between himself and Swart. And it's only a matter of time before he clears all 3 of them. And Nagel gets it sideways and loses tons of positions there, does Attinagel.
Like, these touring cars are amazingly fun to drive, but it's also such knife-edge things that you cannot afford to make a mistake. Troy Dollenschink now starting to close up on the back of Byron Mitchell. It's 1/10 of a second between the 2 of them, and there's a lot of hard racing coming there as Yuri Umpi Swart also joins the battle.
Well, he's stuck in that Durant Motorsports sandwich. He's a Troy Dolacek. He's got Byron Mitchell ahead of him, and Troy Yuri Swart in there just behind him. So it is a Durant sandwich that he is in between. And just ahead of all of them is Johan Fourie. Here is Yuri Umpiswat sitting out there in P5, 2/10 of a second behind Dolacek, 4/10 of a second behind Mitchell, and we are 7/10 of a second behind Johan Fourie.
Well, Frankie, just have a look at the quality of this field. That minor mistake by Francois Hubert, that's dropped him all the way down to 25th. When's the last time that you were able to say that Francois Hubert is 25th in a iRacing event?
And then 41 seconds behind Robbie Teings as well. No, that just doesn't happen on any given Monday or Wednesday, that's for sure. But it's all about that man up front. 4.3 seconds behind Johan Fourie is your race leader, Julian Familiaris. Familiaris sitting out there in P1. Then Fourie in that second place. He's got Mitchell, Dolacek, and Swart second, third, fourth, and fifth. They are chasing down his second position as they make their way down the Jack Brabham Straight, heading into turn 1, Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, into Paddock Hill Bend they go. That's going to take them up to that right-hander, the 180-degree change there of Druids, as Johan Fourie leads them ahead of Byron Mitchell, Troy Dollenschink, Umpi Swart, for them right there by each other. There's not a lot in it. You can just put one wheel off the racing line, and that could eventually cost you 2, if not 3 positions in this race.
Well, Luc Lequez has gone up all the way to 9th, and he sits there quite some distance behind Jason Coetzee, and he's the only Durante Motorsport driver that's really battling out there, because the others are sitting at this stage in P1, P3, and P5 so far. So there they go, chasing down second place man Johan Fourie. You see them all in your same shot on the same screen there. Fourie, Mitchell, Dolacek, and Swart, and only 1.3 seconds behind them, and closing is Tristan de Nobrega.
But heading down the order from the top, it is Julian Familiaris out in the Durant Motorsport car, leading them. Johan Fourie 4.5 seconds down the road. Byron Mitchell in that third spot, followed by Troy Dollenschink, Umpi Swart in 5th, and Tristan de Nobrega 1.3 seconds down the road in 6th.
Then in 7th position, 1.9 seconds behind de Nobrega is Willem Botha. Sitting up there in P8, 2.7 seconds behind Botha is Jason Coetzee, and 3.8 seconds behind him in P9 is Luc Lequez. He's only 1.1 seconds ahead of Clint Besaidnout. That rounds off your top 10, and Besaidnout has got Werner Swart, Andre Steenkamp, and Atti Nagel right in there with him. That is 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Captain Peter van der Spey finds himself in 14th position with Peter Hubert 3.6 seconds down the road. Stephen Duplessis currently finds himself in 16th with Christopher Radloff in 17th in the Hyundai. He's being chased down by Stephen McCarthy, who's just 1.1 second down the road in that number 3 car, followed by Andrew Thomas in 19th and Sandra Bakari in 20th.
Yeah, that's a whole fight there for McCarthy's 18th position. That is Thomas Bakari and 21st place man Mike Verrier. And then right behind him is Carl McCarthy. And they're having a go at that 18th position of Steve McCarthy. But it's all about those top 3 at this point in time. Familiaris 4.6 seconds ahead of that group of cars you're seeing there. That's been led by Johan Fourie. Fourie has got Mitchell and Dolacek right in there. You're looking from the Dolacek car now to the back there of the Run Motorsports, or the front end of the Audi of Yuri Swart.
Sandra Bakari just made a pass there on Andrew Thomas for that 19th position. That was a brilliant move. Let's have a look at the replay. There we go. Here they come down the straight side by side into the corner as Sandra Bakari makes his way past the car there of Andrew Thomas.
Well, what a fight we got out there. We are with Troy Dolacek. That's the best water technology Audi, and he's still the meat in the Durant Motorsport sandwich of Mitchell and Swart with the Nobrega only 1.4 seconds behind them. And they are all over the back end of Johan Fourie. That's JF that's leading them there into that left-hander. And here they come. Fourie cannot worry about Familiaris. He's going to defend this second position because they're like a pack of dogs sitting in there behind him. Mitchell, Dolacek, Swart, and don't write off the Nobrega.
Yeah, Tristan de Nobrega also quite quick out there in that sixth position. Jason Coetzee, as Frankie said earlier on, not so comfortable behind the steering wheel of these touring cars, as he is struggling compared to his teammates in that eighth position. But he's got a hard-charging Luke Lucchesi, who is 3 seconds down the road from him, but making up a lot of time from that ninth position.
Yeah, Andre Steenkamp is all over the back there of Werner Swart. There is 15 minutes done. We have 5 minutes to go. A big thanks to Malembe Lodge for the sponsorship of this race. Round 1 of season 2. Andrew Thomas sitting there in 20th. He's crowding the back end there of Sandro Bakari's Audi. The two Audis are nose to tail there. That's Bakari and Thomas, and here comes Mike Verrier. Verrier's a second behind them, and Carl McCarthy only 0.2 of a second between Verrier. You can cover them with a blanket, and 1.5 seconds behind them is the Jägermeister car there of Rainier Hubert.
Oh, now I'm quite thirsty as we look at Luke Lucchesi running a bit wide there in that corner. He's down in ninth position. He's almost made up a full second trying to catch Jason Coetzee, but with 4 minutes left in this race, can Lucchesi make up 2 more seconds to make it to the back end there of the likes of Jason Coetzee? We'll have to wait and see.
We're going to have to wait and see, but it's all about this fight for second position that you are seeing there on your screen. And Johan Fourie sitting there in that second place. And they are still mugging the back end of that Fourie Audi. Is Dolacek, Mitchell, and Swart. And de Nobrega was 1.3. It's now 1.7. So Tristan losing a little bit of ground there to Yuri Umpi-Swart.
Yeah, there's still a lot of action that can happen here in these last couple of minutes heading towards the end of this race as we look back from the car of Johan Fourie towards that hard-charging Byron Mitchell. Mitchell's got Troy Dolenschek right on his tail with Umpi-Swart, all of them rack stacked and packed in there behind each other. If you make a small mistake like that, getting one wheel onto the grass, it could cost you so much time. It'll bring everybody back into play as we watch them into the final 3 minutes of this race.
Yeah, I see Werner Swart is there in the pits. He's obviously got some kind of a problem, but there's no problem for that group of cars you see going through your screen there. That train being led there by Fourie, from Mitchell, from Dolacek, and Swart. As, yeah, that is Werner Swart. Oh, and he dives in front of, is that Peter Hubert?
That is Andre Steenkamp, and then Peter van der Spy getting involved in that one as well. An innocent bystander in that one is both Andre Steenkamp and Peter van der Spy, as Zwart loses it, dives across the circuit. That sends Steenkamp into the back end there of van der Spy in the car that you just saw come past the camera.
Yeah, well, that's a replay of an incident that Van der Spy just happened to be in at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that will cost him dearly at the end of the day. But it's all about this train. Look at that four-way high-speed express train making its way into that right-handed corner. Familiaris has pulled the pin. He's disappeared down the highway. It's all about Johan Fourie, Byron Mitchell, Troy Dolacek, and Yuri Swart. And de Nobrega, yeah, they're leaving de Nobrega behind now, is this group of cars. There you just see Troy coming into play. He's about 2.5 seconds behind de Nobrega, and he's 2.7 seconds ahead there of Willem Botha as we ride aboard Byron Mitchell, sitting there in that third position. And he is crowding the back end there of the Johan Fourie Audis right there under his back wing. There's 0.3 of a second separating Fourie from Mitchell as they work their way around. But Byron Mitchell has not given up that fight yet for this second position.
While this massive fight is going on here, Julian Familiaris has just abducted and disappeared into the sunset in this race. He leads them out there in P1 with Johan Fourie 4.7 seconds down the road. Byron Mitchell half a second, basically glued to the back bumper of that Honda is the Audi of Byron Mitchell, with Dolenschek and Swart still waiting there for either of those guys to make a mistake. But Dolenschek and Swart now starting to fall back just a little bit from the back end there of Byron Mitchell.
Well, it's going to be hectic out there for that second place. It's not going to be hectic for this man. He's got 25 seconds to go before he sees the checkered flag. is to run motorsports. Julian Familiaris, he's 4.6 seconds ahead there of that train being led there by Johan Fourie as he makes his way around. Will this be the last lap for Familiaris? This is the final corner. I think he's going to just get in time to the checkered flag. Yes! Victory goes to Julian Familiaris.
Familiaris takes P1. Johan Fourie will be the next man through in P2. Byron Mitchell third. Troy Dollenschink, Umpi Swart. Then Tristan de Nobrega will come across the line in sixth, with Willem Botha bringing it home in seventh. Jason Coetzee in eighth, and Lucchesi bringing it home in ninth. And Clinton Mercedes, 7 seconds down the road, will round off your top 10.
Yeah, not a bad race there for Clint. He would have expected better than Atti Nagel, just out of your top 10 in 11th position. Then Peter Hubert, that's why I got them confused. There were two yellow and black cars. One was Steenkamp. Hubert actually came through that lot. Then Stephen Duplessis comes to the line ahead of Radloff. Then it's Bakari, followed by Stephen McCarthy, Andrew Thomas, Mike Verrier, and Rainier Hubert, with Carl McCarthy rounding off the top 20.
Now, Peter van der Spey brings it home in 21st with Andre Steenkamp, Robbie Teings, and then Francois Hubert will be the next man through. Hubert was just ahead of a race winner, Familiaris, so he didn't make it towards the end there just before the flag came out. So the last man on the lead lap there, Francois Hubert in 24th, and then followed by Jaco Steyn, Werner Zwart, and Willem Pinaar in that last position. Francois Hubert, this isn't the race that he wanted. Going through the last corner now in the Alpha Tauri Honda is Francois Hubert. 38 seconds down the road is Francois Hubert from Robbie Teings. And yeah, he qualified within the top 10, but it all went wrong for him after that first lap incident, and that's dropped him all the way down into that 24th position.
But we saw early on that he hammered the wall rather heavily in the opening stages of this race, and he had to probably escape to pits, and then from there it just went from bad to worse for Francois Hubert. Right, FC, they've now got a 5-minute warm-up before we get to the 20-minute feature race.
So what more do you want to warm up compared to what we just went through?
Well, we've got the results here of heat number 1, and your podium is Julian Familiaris, Johan Fourie, and Byron Mitchell.
Now, help me understand this correct. This is my first touring car event. So the grid for for the feature race would be as they finish in heat number 1, except for the top 10 being inverted.
Which means Clinton Mercedes and Mr. Luke Lucchesi go to the front end of the grid. Now, remember, Luke was knocked off. He was on the front row of the grid originally with Johan Fourie. Jason Coetzee, who did not fare as well as the rest of the Grand Motorsport guys, now finds himself on the second row of the grid alongside the well-accomplished Willem Botha. That also opens up the way now for Umpi Swart and Tristan de Nobrega. Remember, Umpi was quick enough to get away from Tristan, but could only hold on to Troy and Byron. Julian dropping all the way down to 10th position will have just behind him Atti Nagel and Peter Hubert, Stephen Duplessis, and Christopher Radloff. So that shouldn't be too much pressure from behind. But remember, Frankie, as you said, when they go into turn number 1, into Paddock Hill Bend, you've got that concertina effect, and that's where you can get taken out from behind. And that's where the problem's going to lie for Julian from the RS.
And Paddock Hill Bend does that, drops down into Druids corner, which is a hairpin. So if you get it right into Paddock Hill, then you have to get it right into Druids, that hairpin, because it doesn't get any easier from there. It only starts to get semi-easier when you work your way out of a Surtees corner and run down that straight towards a Hawthorne. There you can blink for a short while, but from the start-finish line all the way down into Surtees, you have to know your story. It's not easy. It looks easy on paper, but it's not an easy racetrack. It's a lovely racetrack, Branzach, but it's got its technicalities.
Well, there we've now seen that first one, FC 2 minutes 40 into the 5-minute warm-up session, and then we will go into race number 2. Would you like to put your name on the line and put a name up for an overall winner for race number 2?
Look, I love gambling as much as the next person. if Lucchese can stay out of trouble in the opening laps and not get involved with anything as in race number 1, he stands a fairly good chance. But don't put it past Mitchell, Fourie, or Familiaris to work their way through that top 10 field to make it towards the front end of the
Frankie Familiaris from 10th up against the rest of that top 10.
Look, anybody can win this one. Anyone in that top 10 can win it. It is a star-studded names out there. Look, Familiaris does real-time racing. Johan Fourie used to. Mitchell does. Dolacek does. Swart does. De Nobrega does. Coetzee does. Luke Lucchese is an ex-main circuit racer as well. And so was Clinton Besaidnout. The only one in that top 10 that doesn't do or has done or still does real-time racing is Willem Botha. And I salute him because he needs to know they are not going to make it easy for him, that's for sure. These boys are national champions, circuit racing and karting in their own right. And a guy like Luke Lucchese raced the Stanley Group N back in the day as well. Julian, currently Mobile One V8 SA Supercars. Johan Fourie, a guy that used to race Bridgestone production cars back in the day. Byron Mitchell does single-seater. He did Clubmans, he did GTI Challenge, he does Extreme Festival. So does Umpi Swart in the Polar Cup. De Nobrega is a top karter of note. Jason Coetzee is a young man that does single-seaters here and races for RDSA, Race Driver SA, in the global touring cars. Luke Lucchese, ex-karter, ex-Clubman's driver, ex-Group N. Clint Besaidnout also does Extreme Festival. It is a star-studded list if ever you could put any together, Gary. The second race, inverted, I'm not going to choose a winner. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I don't think it's an intelligent move to make whatsoever. The computer says, thanks, boys. Climb off. Let's go to the real deal. And let's have a look at that grid. So there we go. Clinton Besaidnout, Luke Lucchese in the front row of the grid. Jason Coetzee and Willem Botha being on the second row.
Yeah, Tristan de Nobrega on that third row alongside him, Umpi Swart. Then Troy Dolenschink and Byron Mitchell fills up row number 4 with Johan Fourie and Julian Familiaris rounding off your top 10.
Then it's Atinagel and Peter Hubert just outside the top 10. Stephen Duplessis, Chris Radloff. And then row 8, Sandro Bakari and Stephen McCarthy.
Andrew Thomas fills up row number 9 alongside Mike Verrier with Rainier Hubert and Carl McCarthy finishing up row number 10. Peter van der Spey, Andre Steenkamp alongside each other, followed by Robbie Teings, Francois Hubert, Jaco Steyn, Werner Zwart, and Willem Pinaar coming off the back end of the field.
Oh, this is going to be hard. This is going to be as hard as nails. But then again, it wasn't meant to be easy. FC, you do the light sequence. You take them off the line this time.
4, 5, lights out, and away we go in Touring Car Challenge feature race. As a brilliant start there. Ooh, somebody got bogged down there. That is Willem Botha. But it is Clinton Besaidnout that leads them into the first corner with Jason Coetzee and Lucchese struggling on the start once again.
Yeah, look, Lucchese dropping a look at Dolacek just tagged somebody there. And
getting taken out there.
Drama in Druids corner.
Yeah, Druids corner. Oh, massive impact. Durant Motorsport getting taken out. It's carnage into that corner, towards Graham's Hill. Utter carnage as everybody just gets whacked and taken out on this race, and Clinton Besaidnout gets to drive off into the sunset.
Well, can you believe us in a month of Sundays? Besaidnout sits out in P1, Jason Coetzee in second, Johan Fourie in third, Byron Mitchell in fourth, and there is a ton of hot shots that's going to drop all the way down, FC, to the bottom end of that leaderboard.
Yeah, massive impact there for everybody, but now it is Julian Familiaris who's right up on the back end there of Johan Fourie. It's Coetzee, Fourie, Mitchell, Familiaris, all of them stacked and packed behind each other. Then Stephen Duplessis out of nowhere finds himself in 6th, along with Andrew Thomas in 7th.
But have a look at the Run Motorsport. They're sitting in P4 and 5. They're all over the back end there of Johan Fourie at this point in time. They're all over the back end there of Johan Fourie as they make their way out of the final corner. It is Clinton Besaidnout, then it's Coetzee in second, then it's Fourie, then it's the Run Motorsport boys that I was talking about. They are right over the back end of him. And as FC said, Stephen du Plessis, somehow, some way, together with Andrew Thomas and Sandro Bakari, missed that massive, massive pile-up. And Clinton Besaidnout was the quickest, or is the quickest man out there so far.
Now Kyle McCarthy finds himself within the top 10 as well, alongside Andre Steenkamp in that 10th. That is what has made his way up into 11th position with Lucchesi, that is driving a very, very battered Honda out there in that orange livery of his. Then Jaak Hussein in 13th, followed by De Nobrega, Peter van der Spey, Stephen McCarthy coming out of the pits now with Christopher Radloff in that 17th place. Everybody behind McCarthy is in pit lane because of that carnage.
Yeah, Chris is in. Renier Hubert is making his way into the pits as well. All those hot shots, Botha, Swart, Dolacek, Nagel, Peter, Mike, Verrier, they're all in the pits there. But look at this fight for Besaidnout's lead. Jason Kutsia, Johan Fourie, Byron Mitchell, and Julian Familiaris. Oh, and there goes Jason. Jason Kutsia gets sent backing there to the left-hand side of the corner. And Fourie's gone. Fourie's been sent back in as well.
Well, I can imagine some very heated discussions that will be taking place after this race, because it's become a free-for-all for contact. It's like, I want to get past you, you're blocking my way, I'll help you out the way. Cheers. As a Besaidnout was lucky to survive that attack from a Kutsia, but Johan Fourie not so lucky in surviving that crash there from a Familiaris and Byron Mitchell. And Familiaris now finds himself in P2.
Look, is the quickest man out there, 134.3. Stephen du Plessis is the man that's the fastest out there, FC. What a rumble in the jungle we have out here, but we would have expected this. Familiaris in that second place, all over the back end there of Besaidnout. There's Stephen du Plessis, the man that sits out there in P5. It was the quickest man out there. Now Lucchesi is the quickest man out there, and Lucas all the way down in P11. Here comes Werner Swart, and he's all over the back end there of Kyle McCarthy. But there's a challenge for the lead. Familiaris and Besaidnout side by side, and it is still for now Besaidnout that holds out Familiaris, but for how long? He's got the line for the right hand. It does Clint. Julian will just sit there on his outside, tucks in there behind him. They mustn't make contact. They must be very careful. Dropping down the hill. It is still Besaidnout that's been mugged there by Familiaris, Byron Mitchell, and now the Durand boys are sitting second, third, and fourth at this point in time, all over the back end there of Besaidnout.
Besaidnout is just placing that Audi in exactly the right place that he needs to force Familiaris onto that outside line. He's got to make Familiaris work for it, but that now brings Mitchell into this. Byron Mitchell and Julian Familiaris must not make contact, because that's the first rule of a team racing. Do not take each other out. But it's Besaidnout with the Durand Motorsport train behind him, in the shape of Familiaris, Mitchell, and Kutsia.
Oh, this is going to be hard. What do you do if you Clinton Besaidnout? When you look in your motor to see Durand Motorsport, second, third, and fourth, they're all over him now. Familiaris sits up on the outside. And Jason Kutsia's got his nose ahead of Byron Mitchell right now. And Jason's moved up into that second position. And now Byron comes back at him again, and Byron goes back up into third. Jason dropping down into fourth. There is nothing between them, but this is going to bring du Plessis into play. And as he is there, he's in play. And here comes Johan Fourie, 1.8 seconds. Don't write off Fourie at this point in time, because these guys are bogging each other down big time. And Fourie will join this party as well.
Yeah, Johan Fourie will definitely try and join this party, but looking ahead there from Stephen du Plessis as the Durand Motorsport boys battle it out there for second, third, and fourth. And while they're battling each other, this gives Clinton Besaidnout a bit of breathing room. What a privileged position for Stephen du Plessis to be watching this battle unfold ahead of him.
What a fight we've got out here. This is the one we have to stay by. It's all about those first six driver car combinations. There is nothing between Besaidnout all the way down to the man in P6, namely Johan Fourie. There's a bit of a gap before we see him and Thomas, 3.3. But never mind about that, FC. It's all about this Royal Rumble making its way out of Jim Clark Corner.
Frankie, just to give you an example, these guys are bogging each other down so badly that within the time of a lap, Johan Fourie was able to catch up 2 seconds to catch up to the back of TcC, who's holding onto the back there of Kutsia as Fourie goes fastest on a 132.022.
Well, Sandro Baccario for that matter is all over the back end there of Andrew Thomas. He'll fancy his chances there on Thomas, but never mind about that. What does Clinton Besaidnout do in this situation? Because the Durant Motorsport boys are in the house as they're all over the back of him. Familiaris right on the case there. Oh, you've got to feel so sorry for Clinton Besaidnout. The Durant Motorsport boys mean some serious business here in second, third and fourth.
Yeah, they're side by side going down that drop. That is Pilgrim's drop heading towards Hawthorne Bend. It's side by side. Round the outside goes Familiaris, and Familiaris grabs the lead. But Besaidnout's going to try and come back at him, and he's going to hold back behind him Byron Mitchell and Kutsia. This is amazing racing as Mitchell now runs wide, and that position goes to Kutsia for third.
But here comes duPlessis and here comes Johan Fourie as well. They're climbing the curbstones there on the rumble strips of these six drivers. What a rot we have out here. Johan Fourie coming back there at them. He's sitting in P6. 132.022 was his best and last lap there for Johan Fourie as he's all over the back of duPlessis. He's 0.2 of a second behind duPlessis. Johan has to clear duPlessis now if he wants to be in with a shot to catch those top four.
Yeah, you can imagine that Johan Fourie's not going to be wanting to sit there for much longer as Jason Kutsia holds on to P3, trying to catch Besaidnout there to try and go and fetch Julian Familiaris, or at least give Durant Motorsport a 1-2-3 is what they're going to try to do. But before they can do that, they need to clear Besaidnout. Johan Fourie currently in that sixth position, right up underneath that wing of Stephen duPlessis, with Andrew Thomas 4 seconds down the road.
Well, Johan has to go now because duPlessis is holding him up, that's for sure. JF up on the inside, and Fourie says, get out of my way. I need your fifth position because that's the only way I can catch up to Julian, Clinton, Byron, and Jason. And he has to go now because it's going to be a Royal Rumble the moment he catches that top four, and already he's pulling away there from duPlessis.
Look, we're almost only 9 minutes into this race, but I've got my clear choice of driver of the day for creating this action. Clinton Besaidnout being the ultimate wide elbow driver out there, holding the whole of Durant Motorsport behind him for so long as everybody tries to find that extra 10th or thousandths of a second as Mitchell is up alongside Besaidnout. Besaidnout once again making that Audi very, very wide.
What guy has got his elbows out, that's for sure, has Clinton Besaidnout, and Jason Kutsia touches the back end of Byron Mitchell there. Say, come on, Byron, we've got to get him. We've got to get Durant Motorsport first, second, and third. Clinton's got some other ideas, and trust me, as Familiaris is the quickest man out there. A 131.782, and Fourie is coming. Fourie is now only 0.5 of a second behind Jason Kutsia. Here's Johan. He's right there with him. Look how quick he pulled away there from duPlessis. And this is all about that fight out there for this a second position, because Julian is 3.1 seconds ahead of Byron Mitchell.
Mitchell's now made it past Besaidnout. Kutsia almost made it through as well. But right on their case, that monster Honda of Johan Fourie is now becoming a serious threat to any chance of a 1-2-3 for Durant, as up on the inside is Johan Fourie. He's on the outside there of Kutsia, down the Pilgrim's drop towards Hawthorne Bend. There they go into the right-hander as Fourie was on that outside. He's got to duck in there behind Kutsia as they head up toward Westfield Bend.
I have in my life never seen anything like this before. Familiaris, Mitchell, Kutsia. Besaidnout, Kutsia, and Fourie. He's leaving it all out there on the circuit. Johan Fourie sitting out there in that fifth position, only 0.5 of a second between himself and Jason Kutsia out there ahead of him. And they are now closing up onto the back end there of third place man, Clint Besaidnout, who's now 1.1 seconds behind second place man Byron Mitchell.
While we were so encapsulated in that fight, we forgot there's a whole race actually, as somebody goes wide off into the kitty litter there. Starting at the top of the field, Julian Familiaris leads this race. In second position, Byron Mitchell, 3 seconds down the road, with the next man up. Ooh, somebody going very wide there. Clinton Besaidnout is the next man in that third position. He's got Jason Kutsia and Fourie right there by him. and then that 6th place man, Stephen du Plessis, who currently sits in 6th position.
That's Radloff that went wide over there. So Sander Bakari in that 7th place has got Andrew Thomas for company there. 0.5 of a second between Bakari and Thomas. Then there's 8 seconds between Thomas and Carl McCarthy. That is there in that 9th position. And then 1.5 seconds behind him in the 10th position is Luke Lucchesi. And he is now a second while he's pulling away there from Werner Swart. That is there in that 11th place. And then in the top dozen, 3 seconds behind Swart, is Jaco Steyn.
Yeah, behind Steyn, you got the car there of Tristan de Nobrega as he got into some deep trouble there earlier on. Then Peter van der Spaes sits in that 14th position. He's 9 seconds down the road from de Nobrega, with Andre Steenkamp, the next man, in that 15th position, 3.7 seconds down the road. Seemingly keeping out of trouble this time around. Stephen McCarthy out in a 16th position in the Dale Earnhardt color schemed car there, 3 seconds down the road from Steenkamp.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, and McCarthy is 34 seconds ahead there of Willem Botha, who has got the Rainier Hubert right on his case there as they make their way through Paddock Hill Bend and racing down towards the hairpin. That is Druids Corner. But up front, it is all about Familiaris. There's 3.5 seconds between himself and Bowden Mitchell as you have a look at that fight going on there for that 3rd position. Mitchell is quite safe in that 2nd at this point in time, but Clinton Besaidnout, that's in P3 is not, because he's got Jason Coetzee and Johan Fourie all over his back bumper. There you see Mitchell disappear off your screen, and here's this fight for P3, 4 and 5 heading down towards Hawthorne Bend.
It's Fourie diving left and right down the middle, looking for any kind of gap to try and get his nose in and gain a couple of tenths or 100ths of a second. He's making life very difficult. Coetzee needs to focus on attacking Besaidnout, but he's got to think even harder about defending from Fourie. Fourie is glued to the back bumper of that Audi. He's right up there against the back bumper. He's going to dive for the inside. Up on the inside of Coetzee goes Fourie. They don't touch. They keep out of way of each other, and it looks like Fourie has done enough to move up into 4th.
I saw the brake lights come on and off there of Jason Coetzee's car, so he gave up that position going down Clearways into Clark Corner. He gave it up there to Johan Fourie. Now Fourie sitting in 4th, 1.1 seconds between himself and Clinton Besaidnout. There is still a possible podium here for Johan Fourie. He's now within a second of Clint Besaidnout as Jason Coetzee is still there on the back end of Fourie. Remember, Fourie just got past him, but he's not going to leave Coetzee behind, that's for sure.
While Stephen du Plessis is having the race of his life out there in that 6th position, with Sandro Bakari also doing pretty well in that 7th position. Andrew Thomas right on the case there of Bakari, 0.8 of a second between them, but he's got a hard-charging Luke Lucchesi, who is 7 seconds down the road. I think with the amount of damage that Lucchese's got, he's not really going to catch Thomas. But if anyone's going to try, it'll be this man, Luke Lucchesi.
Yeah, well, I got to give it to Luke this time. He just tried too hard in both races. He had something that he wanted to prove, and it didn't work out for him. He wanted to take on Durant on his own. I think he was just way too over-eager, and he finds himself down in P9 all of his own doing.
Well, he was about 0.5
but he was shunted around as well.
He was very much shunted. He had bad starts. That's what dumped him into the into that bad situations. But he is on the move. He's 0.5 quicker than Andrew Thomas in that last lap. So who knows? Before the end of the race, we might see a challenge from Lucchesi for that 8th position.
But we have a look at this fight between Clinton Besaidnout, Johan Fourie, and Jason Coetzee. That's what you see on your screen here. Here comes Johan Fourie. There's 0.3 of a second between himself and Clinton Besaidnout. It's been decades since we've seen these two on the track together. It is the old warhorse versus the young gun, and there's contact between them. And this brings Coetzee through on Johan Fourie. Oh, there was contact between Fourie and Besaidnout. And look at JF. He just pushes him right out the way and says, "Get out of my way, young man. I've got to go after Clinton Besaidnout." We have World War III on our hands here.
Oh, yes, JF definitely deciding that, look, I wanted to do this clean, but if the rest of you guys want to put your elbows out, I'm going to start doing it as well.
Well, I tell you what, and he's not afraid to put his elbows out. I know him from karting days, and not afraid to leave it out there on track. Then again, none of these top 5 drivers are afraid to leave it out there on circuit. These guys are all superstars. There's Andrew Thomas. He's all over the back end of Sandro Bakari. He's Andrew Thomas. There's 0.2 of a second between Bakari and that man you see there, Andrew Thomas.
Van der Swart currently finds himself in that 11th position. He is charging up towards the back end of Kyle McCarthy. Beautiful looking Hyundai there as he's getting ever and so closer towards that car of Kyle McCarthy. Behind him, Jaco Steyn. He's also had a horrible race out there so far. Just look at the battle damage on that Hyundai of his, as not how you want to take a car back to the garage after a race. But Jaco Steyn still managing to hold on to 12th position.
Yeah, Johan Fourie is there. He's 0.2 of a second between him and beside note as we had a quick brief look there at Stephen du Plessis. And here comes Johan Fourie. The time is running out. We've done 17 minutes and 40 seconds. Time is running out here. Can you believe it how quick this nearly 18 minutes went? Fourie's up on the inside. He's up on the inside. He's got that inside line. And Johan Fourie, does he get his elbows out? He's got the line. And Fourie goes up into P3. But don't believe that Poseidon Note will just go away. Clinton will make it so hard for him.
Yeah, he was just ran a little bit too wide coming out of that corner. Everybody runs wide coming out of that corner, but he kept it wide for just a little bit too long. That opened the door for Fourie to get back in there, but Clinton Poseidon not giving up. He's diving left and right, trying to find a way back past Johan Fourie. Fourie says, not this time.
Well, I'll tell you what, who do you want? I'd rather be in Picturesque's car. He's got the best seat in the house watching this too, because there's 2.5 seconds between himself and du Plessis. But there's du Plessis. You saw him just come in on the top end of your screen there, but there's still a bit of a buffer between himself and du Plessis. FC, there's 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock.
Minute and 20 seconds of action still left out on the circuit as they go through the final corner. The white flag comes out there for your race leader, Julian Familiaris. He leads this race out in that first position, almost 5 seconds ahead of the second place man, Byron Mitchell, through that corner. That's Druids corner. They come around now. That is Mitchell. Then here comes Johan Fourie in third, Poseidon Note in fourth, and Jason Kutsia in fifth.
That is your top 5. Here comes Stephen du Plessis. He's 2.7 seconds behind them. Here comes Sandro Bakari. Sandro sitting out there in P7. He's only 0.5 of a second ahead of Andrew Thomas, and catching them is Luke Lucchesi. There's 1.8 between Thomas and Lucchesi, and Lucchesi's pulling away now from Kyle McCarthy. You watch, there's a lovely fight there for P10. That's that last position in the top 10. Kyle McCarthy, Van der Swart, and Jaco Steyn.
Yeah, everybody battling it out there for those positions. But we're on the last couple of seconds of this race. Let's go to your race leader, Julian Familiaris. He'll be making his way around the circuit now for the last time. He's done it all right. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Managed to avoid all the carnage at the start of this race. Underneath the Advan Yokohama Bridge, he goes into that corner. That's going to take him into the last corner. There he goes now towards the home stretch, and across the finish line he'll come as the checkered flag is waiting for him. Your race winner, Julian Familiaris, 40 Run Motorsport.
Byron Mitchell will come home in a comfortable second position, and Johan Fourie will finish there in third position, just ahead of Clint Poseidon and Jason Kutsia. And that's your top 5 with Stephen du Plessis, 3.2 seconds behind him in P6.
Sandro Bakari, the next man through, followed by Andrew Thomas. Luke Lucchesi brings it home in 9th, followed by Kyle McCarthy in that 10th place with Van der Swart there right by him. Jaco Steyn brings it home in 12th place with Tristan de Nobrega in 13th as somebody crashes after the start-finish line.
Van der Spy will bring it home in that 14th position. Andre Steenkamp, 2.2 seconds behind him, will be in 15th position. And then in 16th, as we see Van der Spy cross the line, there's Steenkamp. And in 16th position will be Steve McCarthy. And then Willem Botha will cross the line in P17. And that is Willem you see on your screen there. And then behind him in 18th position, 4.2 seconds behind Willem, is Reinier Hubert.
Yeah, towards the Advan Yokohama Bridge is Willem Botha going into that last corner section now. That is Clark Curve as he makes his way just past the pit entrance, through the last corner, down the main straight, towards the checkered flag. Willem Botha bringing it home in 17th position, and Reinier Hubert, the last man on the lead lap, in that 18th position.
Well, I don't know. I need to lie down now. That's for sure. In a dark room. Gary, what a race. A big thanks to Malembe Lodge.
I'm not a man of a lot of words, but for once in my life, I'm totally speechless. Amazing. The best of the best of the best in South African iRacing, going one-on-one. The GTE series, the Porsche Cup, now the TCR. It's utterly amazing. Where does this all end? We were told a while back there's 20-odd thousand people linked to iRacing. There's only 370, 380 in South Africa. But look at the depth of talent that we have in South Africa. Amazing. I never ever thought we would get to this. Utterly brilliant.
You know, when you've got a mic in your hand, you've got a lot to say. But I don't know. FC, incredible, to say the least.
Chaps, you do realize this was only round 1 of 5.
There's 4 more to go.
2. So if this is how it starts, I need to go have my blood pressure medication prescription renewed for the rest of the season.
I need my pacemaker batteries recharged.
From the top down, June from the RS, utterly brilliant. Just showing what he's capable of. Byron Mitchell, as always, there and thereabouts. The old warhorse, JF Johan Furry, cleaned up pretty much with the Master Series for a period of time. Everybody's just come so much closer. The young gun, Clinton Verzaden, climbing in there. Jason Kutsia, resident down here in Cape Town. All of them ahead of the semi-newcomer, but highly acclaimed Stephen Duplessis. Brilliant run for Sandra Bakari. Just outside of that top group of cars, Sandra Bakari and Andrew Thomas were very close to one another. 2 bad luck situations for Luke Lucchese. They haven't had a chance to actually look and see, was it his error or was it somebody else's? But he's one of the few people that can fight their way back. Carl McCarthy coming out there in a top 10, a very good run for young Carl.
Yeah, Van der Zwart, a new name to me. Obviously not new to iRacing, but new to me in that 11th position. Jack Stein did pretty well in the practice session, and the qualifying in general finds himself there in 12th. And you wouldn't believe Tristan de Nobrega in 13th, one of the country's top karters, the son of the famous single-seater, Mr. Mark de Nobrega, down in 13th. That's not where you're supposed to find him. But FC, there were bigger names down that leaderboard.
Yeah, look, Captain Pete, our own Maverick, Peter van der Spey, 14th. Andre Steenkamp in that 15th spot. Stephen McCarthy, 16th. Willem Botha, 17th. Reinier Hubert, 18th. But, I mean, if you go further down...
Further down's where those big names are.
Hubert, way down. He had some appalling luck out there this evening in this event. And I think the next round out there will be a redemption for quite a few of these drivers.
Umpi Swart all the way down out the top 20 for that matter. Sure. But it was chaos. I expected it, but I never expected it that bad.
Brilliant stuff. FC, a closing word from your side.
Yeah, big thanks to Malembe Lodge for sponsoring the first round of season number 2. And like I said, if this is the way the season starts, I can't wait for the rest. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, Frankie, everything that you hoped for, wished for, and a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, all I can say is fantastic stuff. I'm looking forward to the rest of the Touring Car Challenge season.
From my side, Gary Fleming, on behalf of Second Gear Productions, a big thanks to the voice of Jo Stasi, FC Nieuwoud, the voice of Thomas Motorsport, Frankie Ennis, and myself, the voice of Kalani. It's been awesome to be here with you guys. Looking forward to Wednesday night when we're going to bring you the next exciting action of the Porsche Cup and then also the GTE, and that covered by Motorsport South Africa. Thanks for watching. I'll see you pretty early on Wednesday night. Good night, everybody.